Okay. I believe now you all can see my screen. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Let's begin. Let's begin. All right. You all know that you're going to do your first exam, which is going to be an assignment on like it. You deadline for you will be April 9. Okay, and I'll explain. So it will include all the syllabus that we would discuss until like from the beginning of the semester until whatever we would discuss today. Okay, everything that we will have covered by today is going to be the part of your syllabus, and I will explain you the questions and everything on April 7 next week when we will be back from Easter break. So today is the last day of classes before Easter break. We will have Easter break from April 5 to April 1 to April 5, and then April 6 is a Tuesday. We don't have class on Tuesday, and then we'll have our next class from after today. We'll have our next class on April 7. Take it. All right, let's begin. We were discussing Frankfurt School. I told you that Frankfurt School, why is it called Frankfurt School? Because it originated at the University of Frankfurt. I would like to repeat what I just said. Why it is called Frankfurt School? Because it originated at the University of Frankfurt. That is why it is known as Frankfurt School. It was primarily comprised of German scholars. The names that you see on the screen are very famous and significant personalities who developed thoughts related to Frankfurt School. The school is also famous for its critical theory because they got engaged in critical assessment, especially of the process of enlightenment. Now, school originated. I'm sorry, Mohsin.
Lastly,
I'm sorry, Mohsin. Is there something you're asking?
no, ma'am.
Okay. The school originated in 1923 at the University of Frankfurt. Now, with this, on this slide, this is where we ended. So the majority of these scholars were Jewish, especially Walter Benjamin. Like the majority of them were Jewish, and in in 1930s, Nazis were coming to power, and they started facing persecution and religious intolerance. I told you very briefly that what is the meaning of persecution and what happened during the period of Holocaust. If you do not know about Holocaust, I encourage you to explore it on Google. What was Holocaust? What were concentration camps during that time, and what happened to Jewish people during that time? So many of the scholars associated with the Frankfurt School, they were Jewish, and with the onset of Nazism in Germany, they were facing persecution, they were facing ill treatment, and they started moving to the US. Now with this, Frankfurt School moved to the US in late 1930s. However, after the downfall of Hitler, the school came back to Germany, but not all of the scholars returned to Germany. Some of them stayed in the US, and earlier they were engaged in the critique of enlightenment. They were engaged in developing critical theory, but while they stay in the US, they engaged in the critique of capitalism, especially American capitalism. This was a very brief description of Frankfurt School. So what Frankfurt School did was, they were Marxist scholars. They are also referred as neo-Marxists. Similarly, scholars related to Birmingham School that we will discuss later, not possibly today, they were also referred as neo-Marxists, because what they were doing was they were drawing upon the views of Karl Marx. What is Marxism? I told you that very briefly in my last class, and I would like to repeat information. Marx actually proposed 3 ideas that are important for you to know. Okay, I wrote them in the chat box: base, superstructure, and ideology. These are three basic ideas in Marxism. So what is base? Base is idea associated with people who own the means of production. That constitutes base. So a factory is a base because it owns the means of production. Similarly, a media channel is a base. Geo TV channel in Pakistan's context is base. It is a media house, it is a news channel, it has several employees, it has journalists, reporters, team of editors who work for that channel. So base is the people who own means of production. What is superstructure? In Marxism, superstructure refers to culture of a society. The culture of a society is superstructure because many things come from culture. The way our media operates, many things in our culture, they come from, so many things in that we see in media, they come from culture. Let's imagine a situation, and this is a supposed situation just to explain you the idea of superstructure. So minorities in Pakistan unfortunately have faced persecution. They are the people who are marginalized. They are the people who are sometimes oppressed. Okay, let's not talk about minorities. Let's talk about women. So women in Pakistan is a patriarchal culture. We all agree. What is patriarchal?
Patriarchy is about the male dominancy in the
Shabash,
society,
shabash, shabash. Good
and
job, Adil.
and the, and the opposite word is matriarchal.
Yeah, shabash.
Matriarchal society. There are few tribes in India where the matriarchal society exists.
Very good job, Adil. How do you have all of this knowledge? I believe you read a lot. I believe you are an avid reader, and I like you for that. Good job. Okay. So patriarchy is male dominance. Pakistan is a society that is dominated by males. Okay. Now we see many ideas perpetuating in Pakistani media that are related to patriarchy. Perpetuating का मतलब है continuating. We see that Pakistani media continues ideas that are related to patriarchy. ठीक है? Now you see there is this media that is situated in a particular culture, and that is perpetuating, continuing same ideas that exist in Pakistani culture. ठीक है? So that is how culture plays an important part in media, in content that comes from media. Okay. Base clear, superstructure clear. What is ideology? Ideologies are beliefs, ideas that circulate in society, and those beliefs that actually strengthen powerful people, all like the ideas that actually maintain status quo. Status quo क्या होता है? I'm going to write this word in the chat box. What is
I think so.
status quo?
It's about the elite class.
Status quo is that to maintain existing order. To repeat, to maintain existing order. If you ask me to explain it in Urdu we say चीजों को जूं का तू रखना, जैसे चीजें हैं उनको वैसे ही रखना. ठीक है? If you
Aristocratic class, we can also mention.
Shabash, shabash. So when we are maintaining existing order, of course, those who are in power will remain powerful. Those who are weaker will remain weaker. To maintain status quo, there has to be an ideology. Okay? For example, ideology that English is a powerful language. In order to get better jobs, English is a better language or superior language. In order to get jobs, you should know English. This is the ideology, which is wrong. English is not a better language. All languages are beautiful. The problem is English is associated with the idea of getting a job. So what is ideology? Ideology are beliefs that circulate, sometimes false beliefs, not always though, sometimes false beliefs that circulate in society that help powerful maintain a status quo. Now, अब इस सारे की समझ आ गई है, बेस, सुपरस्ट्रक्चर, आइडियोलॉजी, मार्क्सिज्म, क्लियर? Okay, now what did Frankfurt School do? They were developing on Marxist ideas. They were neo-Marxists. They were developing in Marxist, side by side, criticizing Marxism. They were saying, okay, there is this thing, Marxism, however, Marxism doesn't deal with this particular situation. This is how we are adding to the existing knowledge of Marxism. Okay, clear thus far? Any question? Can I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All
Yes.
right. Now, I told you 4 names, and important names out of those were Theodor Adorno. He was at the top, and Max Horkheimer. So, especially Theodor Adorno, he wrote a book. Its title was The Culture Industry. So, Max Horkheimer and Theodor Adorno, they wrote this book as well, The Dialectic of Enlightenment. Now, what was Frankfurt School doing? They were developing a critique on the idea of enlightenment. Now, imagine the time period of Frankfurt School. Frankfurt School originated in 1923. It flourished in 1930s. Okay? Now, that was the time when enlightenment was happening. Enlightenment क्या होती है? Fatma, go ahead.
Ma'am, it was basically a period when industrial revolution was taking place and
Shabash,
everything,
shabash.
new technologies were being introduced, like
Shabash,
steam
shabash.
engine.
Progress was happening.
Progressive society,
Yeah.
a progressive society.
Very good. So, but they were doing this. They were developing their critique on enlightenment only in the context of communication. So, not necessarily communication, but here in this for this class, I will only deal with my media communication. So they developed their critiques on enlightenment. They were saying that yes, enlightenment is happening, but not for everyone, not for all. Yes, development is happening, but with that, it is also concentrating power. It is also concentrating wealth. This is how they were critiquing enlightenment. And Theodor Adorno and Max Horkheimer, they co-authored this important book, The Dialectic of Enlightenment. However, Theodor Adorno alone also authored a book. Its name was The Culture Industry. Basically, in Frankfurt School, they proposed this idea of culture industry. I'll explain this idea to you in a minute. Adil, you wanted to say something?
Yes, ma'am. These critiques are supporting anti-enlightenment, if I'm right.
Yes, yes. See, this is how they were critical. They were doing critiques, and side by side, they were also developing critical theory methods. आपको पता है critical theory भी एक method है, like जैसे there is post positivism, there is this interpretive, then there is critical. So side by side they were developing this method as well. अच्छा, यहाँ तक clear हो गया सबको? जी फातिमा, go ahead.
Ma'am, I have a question that they were since they were criticizing enlightenment, so basically they were basing their opinions on the Marxist theories while
Yes.
criticizing enlightenment.
Yes, yes. They were drawing all their ideas from Marx, but they were also criticizing Marx. ठीक है? Clear, Fatma? Can I proceed?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. अब देखें, they proposed this idea of culture industry. What was culture industry? Let me tell you very briefly. Wait a minute. The idea of culture industry means, they said that the products that we see in our culture, and especially products related to media, they are tailored for consumerism. यहाँ पे मैं word लिखती हूँ tailored, so that you can make sense of this word. Tailored का मतलब क्या होता है? Here this word is used as a verb. Yes, Fatma?
to make something better, or to make something
Nahin.
to create something.
Fatma, you are close, but I think you are your concept is clear. But let me tell you, Adil, go ahead. Go ahead, Adil. I thought Adil wanted to say something, but that's okay. Okay, let me explain what is Taylor. Taylor का
Ma'am, to
मतलब,
shape up something.
हाँ, sorry, who was speaking?
Ma'am, Mohammed Umar.
Yeah, Umar, go ahead. Shabash.
I think
Yes, you are close.
maybe in this context, it's like to shape up something or to.
Shabash. Good job. Okay, Tailor means to shape something, to modify according to need. ठीक है? For example, I am a communication teacher. ठीक है? But I apply for a job in a newspaper for article writer. So I will tailor my CV. I will write in my CV that although I have all teaching experience, I have taught courses related to writing as well. This is how this demonstrates that I have really good writing abilities and I am a good fit for your job. I am tailoring my CV. I am tailoring my job document, which means I am modifying my document according to what is needed. समझ आ गई टेलर की? ठीक है? Okay, what I mean when I say that in culture industry they say that products are tailored for consumers, which means they make products in a way that raises consumers, that increases their commercial gains, that increases the commercial gains of base manufacturers. समझ आ गई? This is what culture industry does. They said that in our culture the products, artifacts, whatever. So especially Adorno, Theodore Adorno, he raised this point. एक मिनट मैंने यहाँ लिखा था. Adorno argues that Theodore Adorno, that the money that we pay for cultural products, जैसे concert एक cultural product है, it's a media. Yes, it comes from media, but it's a cultural product. So the money that we pay, it is used for commercial purposes. It is used. It is, sorry, let me see this again. I forgot. What did I write? Yes. So it explains our social relationships. Like we are paying for this particular product to base, to people who are in base, to owners. And this kind of defines and elaborates our relationship with the elites, with the ruling class. ठीक है? So this was the idea of culture industry. This is the sort of industry we live in. This is what makes culture industry. So basically they were saying that culture, they were highly emphasizing on the idea of consumerism, and they were emphasizing that the products that we see in our culture industry, they are tailored with the idea of consumerism. And they said that in culture industry, another idea they came up with was that masses are powerless. Power lies with the culture industry. Masses are powerless. They are kind of absorbing information that comes their way, and they are spending money to get that information. So the power doesn't lie with masses. The power lies with culture industry. Don't you all pay for Netflix? Don't you all pay to your cable operators? So these are cultural products that are coming through culture industry, and we are consumers. The idea of consumerism is increasing. We are consumers and we pay to use those products that are coming through culture industry. So there is this company, for example, Amazon, Netflix, that is producing content that is base. Whatever content they produce, they charge money for that, and that money goes to the base. Okay? So that was the idea. That I'm just trying to make sense of the basic idea that they proposed by proposing the idea of culture industry. Okay, now this is what I told you about Theodore Adorno and Max Hockemeyer. Herbert Marcuse was another prominent scholar. However, he extended the school's analysis of modern society to post-war American capitalism. I said this in the beginning that although they were developing critical theory, critical methods, they after World War II, some of the scholars associated with the Frankfurt School, they stayed in United States, and there they engaged in the critique of American capitalism. So Herbert Marcuse is especially known for that. All right. So here we are going to talk about another prominent scholar in Frankfurt School. His name is Walter Benjamin. I remember in last class, Irha, are you here? Is Irha here? Irha Chuktai? She is not. Irha said that she was familiar with Walter Benjamin. Similarly, Walter Benjamin's name. Similarly, Fatma Atiq also said that she was also familiar with Walter Benjamin's name. And I also said this in my last class that personally I like Walter, like he is my most favorite Frankfurt School scholar. Not to say that I don't like others, I do like others as well, especially Theodor Adorno, but I especially like Walter Benjamin. Okay, let's talk about Walter Benjamin. So Walter Benjamin wrote a seminal essay. Its name was The Work of Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction. I use the word seminal here. What is the meaning of this word? I wrote it in the chat box. I just wrote it in the chat box. Seminal. What is seminal? Okay, let me explain. Work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction, by the way, is a seminal work by Walter Benjamin. Okay, seminal is influential. Fatma wrote influential. Oh, yes, influential, Fatma. But seminal is a piece of work that influences later developments. That is seminal. So, for example, Edward Said wrote Orientalism. That was a seminal piece of work in the field of Orientalism that influenced later scholars who developed similar work in Orientalism. To repeat, seminal work is a kind of work that influences later developments or later scholars in that particular field. So Walter Benjamin's essay, The Work of Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction, proved to be seminal, which means it influenced later scholars in the field. Let me tell you what was the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction. Excuse me. So, okay, work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction. What is mechanical reproduction? That message is mechanically reproduced. There is message. Right now I am delivering a message, and my message is being mechanically reproduced by this technology for all of you. There is this single person delivering a message. My message is being reproduced by this machine, computer that I have in front of me. That is how my message is being mechanically reproduced for all of you. There are 35 people in this class. 21 of you are here. My message right now is being produced for 21 people in this class right now. This is mechanical reproduction. Does this make sense? Does this make sense?
Can you please repeat? I just lost you there. Can you please repeat?
Yes,
Is that-
Hassan. Umar, go ahead. Umar, you want to ask something?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just saying, can you please repeat that? Your voice was distorted.
Okay, sorry then.
Yes.
Okay, I'll repeat. Please pay attention and try to make sense. I'm only explaining what is mechanical reproduction. Mechanical reproduction is that a particular message is reproduced mechanically. By mechanically, I mean by a machine. Right now, I am delivering my message and I am a single person. My single message is reproduced by the machine, by the computer, that I have in front of me, it is being reproduced several times, which means for several of you. Right now, I have 21 students in my class. This machine is reproducing my message for 21 students in this session. This is how my message is being mechanically reproduced. And this is what Walter Benjamin meant in his essay on in his essay titled "The Work of Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction." So the technology that we have now, it mechanically reproduces our messages. You listen to radio every day, so there is a single presenter who is delivering his message, and your radio transmitters, your radio receivers mechanically reproduce that message for masses. There is a single presenter who delivers his message, and his message is heard by all across the city. People in the whole city, people in Lahore listens to his message. They hear his message because of this mechanical reproduction. Your message is mechanically reproduced. There was this fire incident at Hafiz Center. The building was burned, and this message was reproduced. The pictures were reproduced mechanically in newspapers. Cameras took those pictures were reproduced by machines, and all of us saw what happened to Hafiz Center. We even saw the footage, the video as well in news channels. We saw what happened to the building, and how, because machines were reproducing this message. Now, is this idea of mechanical reproduction clear to everyone?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, what did Walter Benjamin say? He wrote a critique on the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction. So he said that a work of art, let's say a painting, or let's say a piece of music. So what is a piece of music that is specific to our culture? I like Bulle Shah. Has anyone ever heard about Punjabi poet Bulle Shah?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Very good. I like Bulle Shah. I was born in Kasur. I grew up in the city of Kasur, and that city is famous for Bulle Shah's poetry. And I especially like his poetry because my father would recite it to us many times. My grandfather would, my parents, of course, they were from Kasur and everything. And I especially like the song Bulla Ki Jana Main Kaun. Have you all heard that song, Bulla Ki Jana Main Kaun?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I like that song for its music, for its poetry, and for the message it has. Okay? Now, that is a work of art. Do you all agree?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, what did Walter Benjamin say here? He said that he proposed the idea of aura in the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction. Let me tell you his argument. Walter Benjamin's argument was that the work of art, which is reproduced by a machine, when it is distributed with people who are from a different culture, the work of art loses its aura. What is aura? Aura is the idea of uniqueness that a work of art has in a particular culture. Now, let's say I love Bulle Shah's song, Bulle Shah's poem, Bulla Ki Jana Main Kaun. I love how the poem was sung by a South Asian artist. I like the music that the work of art has. Now, it has an aura. Aura means it has this idea of uniqueness. It is unique to me. When I was in the US, when I was in America, I made one of my very best American friends hear that song. He liked the rhythm that he heard in the song. He liked the music as well. But Of course, the work of art lost its aura for my American friend. He was not able to understand the message because he did not know Punjabi language. You may have heard that Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan's qawwalis are very popular among European people, especially British people. They like the rhythm that his qawwalis have. They like the beat of the music, the drum pattern and all that, but they cannot relate to the message the way we can, because they do not understand the message. That was what Walter Benjamin said. He said that when the work of art is mechanically reproduced today, it loses its aura. It has that aura according to the place of origin where the work of art was produced. However, when it is mechanically reproduced, it loses that aura. See, that is how Walter Benjamin was critiquing enlightenment. He was critiquing the work that this machinery was doing for us, media was doing for us. Now let me ask you this question. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it very fascinating, very interesting what Walter Benjamin was doing? Okay. Osama, go ahead, and then Adil, I'll let you speak. I know you wanted to say something. Yes, Osama, go ahead. You want to respond to my question?
No, ma'am, I have a question actually. Ma'am, you said that these people were actually criticizing Marxist ideas. So where is his criticism about Marxism?
Okay, good, a very good question. So in order to know about how Walter Benjamin was criticizing the work of art in mechanical reproduction, you need to read the essay in entirety. It's a 30 or 40 pages long essay. And he actually criticizes part of traditions, part of culture and consumerism market as well when he talks about mechanical reproduction, about the work of art. So okay, let me explain in order to answer your question. There was this poet who wrote the song, there was this person who sang the song. Now there is this company who owns the copyrights because they supported that singer producing that song. Now when we buy the CD of that song to listen to that music in our car or in our CD player or whatever, the money goes to the base, the money goes to the production company. This is the criticism on like Marxist criticism on mechanical, on the idea of mechanical reproduction, and also on the idea of work of art. How there is a company that owns that acts like a base, that owns that produces the material, that distributes the material. See, does that answer your question, Osama?
Yes, ma'am, very
But
much.
okay, but again, in order to get a better clarity, I highly recommend that you read the essay. I read the essay several years ago, and I loved the essay. I really love the essay. It's a wonderful piece of critique produced by Walter Benjamin.
Ma'am, is this essay also included in our exam?
It's not. It's optional. You
Right.
can read it if you like, but it's not. Adil Bete, go ahead.
Ma'am, you are talking about your American friend that he can't understand the classical music, and in the same way, I want to mention the example. I was reading a book few days ago about the Pakistan Naguzir tha. The writer Sayyid Sibte Hassan mentioned Sayyid. I forget her name. The writer. And he says that a man who listening Jinnah's speech in 1946 in Peshawar, and I asked him what you understand from this. He says I don't know what he's saying. He was dancing while listening his speech, and he say
Okay.
what you understand from his English speech. He says I don't know what he's saying, but one thing I know, he's saying what he's saying is right. So
That was the level of sincerity that he had toward Jinnah.
yes, yes.
Okay, so but does the whole idea make sense for you all?
Ma'am, I have a question. You said that it is what we think that how the work of Walter Benjamin is about the work of art in the age of mechanical reproduction. He said that the art loses its aura when it is mechanically reproduced. But what about those people, like you heard it through maybe mechanical reproduction? I heard it through mechanical reproduction because I was not born maybe till that time. So don't you think that I got that aura because of that mechanical reproduction?
Yes, yes, that's a very good question, Fatma. Very good. Okay, I'll explain this answer. But before that, I have to make an important announcement. And if call drops, we will. Fatma, please do ask me this question in next class, or I can write an email as well. Important thing is I have uploaded notes on Moodle related to Frankfurt School. Please read them like a story. You do not have to understand each and everything. I know the notes are dense. I know it is a little complicated. Just try to make sense of overall structure. You should know what was Frankfurt School. You should know what was culture industry. You should know what was said in mechanical reproduction. What I'm saying is, at this stage, you should only be familiarized with basic concepts, but do not